Grade 10 Biology Lesson How do organisms reproduce? Module 1. Objectives: differentiate sexual and asexual modes of reproduction, recognize basic events of reproduction, explain the role of variation in living organisms, illustrate various types of asexual reproduction. Reproduction. It is a biological process by which new individual organisms, that is offsprings, are produced from their parents. Reproduction is a fundamental feature of all known life. Each individual organism exists as a result of reproduction. It enables and ensures the continuity of species generation after generation. It is important for the survival of all living things. Without the mechanism of reproduction, life would come to an end. Basic events of reproduction. Two basic events in reproduction are: first, the creation of a DNA copy. Here the cells use chemical reactions to build copies of their DNA. This creates two copies of the DNA in a reproducing cell. Second, DNA copying is accompanied by the creation of an additional cellular apparatus. And then the DNA copies separate, each with its own cellular apparatus. Effectively, a cell divides to give rise to two cells. Variation. It's differences in the traits shown by the individuals of a species and also by the offsprings of the same parents. It is caused by gene mutations due to certain environmental factors and various combinations of genetic material. Importance of variation. Variation is important because it causes evolution and it is the basis of heredity. It is advantageous to a population as it enables few individuals to adapt to the environmental changes, thus enabling the survival of population. Do organisms create carbon copies of themselves? The DNA, deoxyribonucleic acid molecules in the chromosomes in the nucleus, is responsible for the transfer of characters from the parents to the offsprings. During reproduction, the reproductive cells produce two copies of the DNA which separate into two cells. The DNA copies will be similar but not identical to each other. So the new individuals have slight variation from their parents. This is a basis for variation and evolution of new species. Types of reproduction. There are two modes of reproduction: sexual mode of reproduction and asexual mode of reproduction. Sexual reproduction is a process in which new organisms are created by combining the genetic information from two individuals of different sexes. Asexual reproduction is a type of reproduction which doesn't involve the fusion of gametes or change in the number of chromosomes. The offspring that arise by asexual reproduction from a single cell inherit the genes of that parent. Let us compare sexual and asexual modes of reproduction. In asexual reproduction, one parent is needed. In sexual, two parents needed, that is a male and a female. In asexual reproduction, no gametes required, but in sexual reproduction, gametes required. In asexual, offsprings are genetically identical, but in sexual, offsprings are not genetically identical. There are different types of asexual reproduction. Let us learn more about that. Fission. There are two types of fission: binary fission and multiple fission. Second, budding, spore formation, regeneration, fragmentation, and vegetative propagation. First, fission. Fission means splitting into two or more parts. In unicellular organisms like bacteria and protozoan, the cells split to make two or more new organisms. Fission can be of two types, namely binary fission and multiple fission. Binary fission. Binary fission is a form of asexual reproduction in which an organism divides into two, each part carrying one copy of genetic material. Example, amoeba, paramecium, euglena, and bacteria. Multiple fission. It's a process of asexual reproduction in which instead of two daughter cells, many daughter cells are produced from the parent cell. In this, the nucleus undergoes repeated division to produce a large number of nuclei. Each nucleus, along with a little bit of cytoplasm, forms a membrane. Example, plasmodium, true slime molds. Fragmentation. In this, parent breaks into multiple pieces on maturity, known as fragments, each of which gives rise to a new individual. It is seen in simple multicellular organisms like Spirogyra. Budding. In this method, new individual is formed as an outgrowth of parent. Daughter separates away and parent continues to exist. Example, Hydra and yeast. Regeneration. Parent, if cut or broken into multiple pieces, each gives rise to a new individual. This is an accidental process. Example, Hydra, flatworm and tapeworm. Spore formation. In this method, new individuals are produced by the germination of spores. Spores are unicellular bodies in the parent that are capable of growing into a new individual. Example, Rhizopus.